Hi, everyone. Hannah Kesler here. I wanted to tell you about our event that's coming up May 5th to the 7th, 2022, that's going to be live in Daytona Beach, Florida. So it's a 2-day in-depth classroom-style education, and this event is for policy holders. So for folks who already have policies and want to learn more advanced strategies of how to implement this concept into their already banking system policies that they have, this is a must-attend event for you. So May 5th to the 7th, hosting it live in Daytona Beach, Florida. And to find out more, go to mytmm.me/event. That's MYTMM as in Mary .me, Mary Edward /event to find out more. All right. Hi, Dad. It's Hannah Kesler here, and I got Brent Kesler on the line with us. So us two, we just got back from the Nelson Nash annual think tank that happens yearly in February. It's always held in Birmingham, Alabama, where Nelson Nash lived, grew up at. And so we just spent the last week there learning more and how we can better serve you and help get this message across to the public. So today's episode, I wanted to go in and kind of debrief and highlight some of the things that Brent and I took away when we were attending the live mastermind. So how are you doing today, Dad?
Hey, I'm doing good. Hannah. So yeah, I'm excited to talk about this as well. Hey, just to go back to the event that's coming up on May 5th, 6th, and 7th, that was a great job promoting that event. I just want to be clear, and Hannah, correct me if I'm wrong. Okay, so even if you're not a policy holder, it's okay to attend the event because, so like possibly the thing that you've seen and just heard about this. But again, all right, so maybe you're just not sure if this is right for you or not right for you. But basically what we're going to do is really pour in to the infinite banking concept during this event, May 5th, 6th, and 7th. So it's not necessary that you have to have a policy in order to attend the event. But obviously, the policy holders that already have their policy, they're going to see the advanced strategies of how they can use that policy that they have. Is that good to say, Hannah? Is that fair to say that other people can also attend even if they do not have a policy? I mean, of course, obviously they would want to have some kind of interest in the banking concept and just what we teach in order to attend. Is that accurate?
That's right. So yeah, so it's just more advanced topics. So we're not really going to go into the normal message, the normal presentation. It's going to be built on top of. So I want y'all to, if you do attend, to have the foundation knowledge and watch that full length presentation, www.themoneymultiplier.com. And if you go to our homepage underneath the resources tab, click on presentation. And if you've seen that, you're ready to go and you have that foundation knowledge of what infinite banking is. And now you can just build on top of that with the resources and education that we'll be teaching at the event.
Yeah, absolutely. And then too, just to kind of give you a high level idea, 20,000 foot view on May 5th, that'll start on Thursday afternoon, and that'll be a pre-party here at my house. We'll have food and beverages and things like that here, and that'll be in the evening on Thursday, May 5th. So on your transportation, the thing you want to do is you want to arrive here by, 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I don't know if we have an exact start time for it yet, but I'm thinking around 5 o'clock. Probably will be the start time, and that'll probably go, until we're done, probably 9 o'clock. And then on Friday and Saturday, it's all meat and potato stuff in the resort where we're at, which is in the big conference room or ballroom of the resort. And, that's going to be 2 full days, Friday and Saturday, May 6th. And May 7th. So do not try to skip out early on Saturday, because all you're going to do is you're going to miss information if you do. So make sure you plan your travel time accordingly, because we will go till, I'm thinking, Hannah, we're going to go till 6 p.m. on Saturday evening, the last day, May 7th, at least, I mean, and possibly even, a bit later on Saturday as well. So it'll all be meat and potato stuff. There'll be, myself will be speaking. Other people on our team will be speaking. We'll have a couple outside speakers. Again, so there's nothing for you to buy at this event. We're not there to sell you anything. We're there just to give you, just to kind of pour into you and how you can use your policies more effectively and more efficiently. So we're going to have a ton of material prepared, probably more material, just like any event that I do like this. I never can get through all the material that I have prepared. So we're going to have a ton of material prepared to you, and you guys are going to, I think, really enjoy the content of the stuff that's going to be shared by myself and others as well. So again, I just want to encourage you, if this is something you're thinking about doing, go ahead and plan now. Go ahead and get it booked now. Get it reserved. I think it's only Hannah, like $100 to attend, and I think we feed you lunch a couple days, and even the pre-party at my house. So it's not something that you're paying big money for to be there. It's like $100 for the whole event, and plus we feed you, part of your meals while you're there. And the resort, the Daytona Beach Shores, is a very nice resort too.
Located right on the beach. Right on the beach.
However, the one thing I do want to say is Hannah and I are talking on this podcast where Hannah, is today the last day of February? It's like the 26th of February. We're doing this on Saturday right now, as we're talking live, Saturday, the 26th of February. And there's only 210 seats available. That's it. Once those sell out, it is gone. We can't add any more because the fire marshal won't allow us to have any more into the venue. And I think, Hannah, you told me as of yesterday, as of last night, you had 76 of the tickets were already sold, and you just went live on this thing about 10 days ago, roughly. Yeah. So we're almost half capacity right now, and we haven't even really opened it up or started promoting it yet. So we're trying to, promote it to like all of you listeners first before we promote it to other people that don't listen to us as often. So, and right now we're already about half sold out, and so many people don't know about it. So if you're hearing this, today is the time to go and reserve it, right? Today is the time to go and reserve it. Don't wait. Don't do like I do a lot of times and wait a week before and then go, and I can't get in the venue. I can't, right? The hotel's sold out. Actually the room block already had to be added a bit. So again, don't wait till the last minute, because if you call us and say, hey, I waited and I can't get in, I'm sorry, but we can't do anything because there's only so many, there's only so much space. It's like a 12-ounce bottle of water. No matter if all 12 ounces are in it and you're trying to get in ounce 13, the 12-ounce bottle will not hold it. So no matter how bad you want in, once we get to that 12 ounces, you can't get to, okay, the thing is you can't get that 13-ounce in. So the same thing with this. Okay. So that's all on that, Hannah. All right. So anyway, do you want to dive right into what we're going to discuss today? Do you want me to start it out? Would you like to begin, or would you like me to?
Yeah, no. So, go ahead. You share with us your thoughts and your takeaways of the last 2 days of the Nelson Nash think tank.
Yeah. So actually, so Hannah and I, we spent Tuesday afternoon, Wednesday, all day Thursday, this past week. Today's Saturday, we're coming to you. And we went to the annual Nelson Nash Institute event called the Think Tank. And, last year was a virtual event, and Of course, the last one that Nelson was at was in 2019. And again, these are always held in Birmingham, Alabama in February. And of course, as most of you know, if not all of you, Nelson passed away in March of 2019. So, yeah, without him being there, it was kind of emotional, kind of sad, but we could definitely feel his energy in the room. We knew he was there. We knew he was watching over us and what we were doing. And anyway, so this event is not really for clients. It's for other producers around the country that are promoting and talking about the infinite banking concept. So it was kind of like just us being around our colleagues, other producers, other life insurance agents around the country. And anyway, it's good to go and see what people are doing, what they're talking about, and how they're spreading the message, and the things that they're talking about. And I mean, even though every time I go to these events, I listen to people talk, and I get tons of great information. I mean, I don't think I would ever miss one of these ever, because I'm always learning. I always want to learn, right? I mean, I'm not, again, okay, so the one thing that I have definitely conquered is I have not arrived, right? Like if you've ever heard of the arrival syndrome, which is what Nelson talks about in his, is not me. I have conquered that. I am not, okay. And again, that's on the book called Becoming Your Own Banker, the 5th edition by R. Nelson Nash. The arrival syndrome is on page number 34 of that book. So so again, I'm open to hearing everything that people have to teach me, and I want to learn and be a sponge from other people, right? Now, does it mean I necessarily agree with everything that's said? No, not at all. But it's okay. I don't have to agree with everything, but it's again, there's just, okay, so some people interpret the message a little differently. Not all of us interpret it the same. Not all of us teach it the same. That's why I encourage you. All right. So don't only listen to the stuff that I put out there. Go and hear what other people are talking about on the banking concept, and you feel, and so that way, basically, the thing that you'll do is you'll get a feel of who the right fit is for you to work with in this concept. So I encourage you to be open and always willing to learn, and always be open to take in new information. So, but anyway, just some points that I took away from it. From the event, and I took notes, and I wanted just to share with you, Hannah and I want to share with you just some of the highlights of the event that were kind of, so that it came with us. It kind of resonated with each of us, and it may be different for me than Hannah. But so before we started this podcast today, Hannah was talking, I was talking about some stuff I wanted to cover, and it was kind of cool because she has a lot of the same things that I had as well, and going in particular order as well. So I thought that was pretty cool. I don't know if it has anything to do with her being my daughter or what, and we kind of think alike. So, but anyway, I guess the one thing that I wanted to say is that, okay, this whole concept, the infinite banking concept, okay, I thank all the time. I am so grateful for R. Nelson Nash that he taught us about this concept. And this book, Becoming Your Own Banker, it is a must-have. You have to have that book in your financial life. If you're even thinking about doing this, or you're doing it and you don't have this book, even if you don't think you want to do it, you should at least read the book so you get the information, so you know that that information is out there, because so many people do not even know that this information is available. They just don't know, because they've been taught a totally different way about their money and finances. So you have to have this book. You have to read this book. And I'll admit, it's a hard read the first time. It is a hard read. It's not easy to read the first time. So it may take you 2, 3, 4 times going through it to get it or make sense of it. But it is the truth. I mean, Nelson Nash is preaching the gospel here in this book. And the more often that I read it, every single sentence in this book has some kind of meaning. Have you ever read something or listened to something? Maybe it's a song, or you watched a show on TV, or all right, so maybe you read a book and you kind of skim through parts of it. You're like, okay, yeah. But in this book, if you really just focus on each sentence or each page, I mean, I would just highly recommend, when you read this book, it's a 92-page book, read 10 or 11 pages a day. Read 10 or 11 pages a day, or maybe 5 or 6 pages a day, and take 9 days to 20 days to read the entire book. And I like to tell people, okay, so when they read it, all right, and again, all right, so this may not be for you, but I like to tell people, if you're going to read the book, when you read the book, to go through it, okay, and so I go read through it the first time from cover to cover, all 92 pages, and then go back the second time and read page 1 through 50, basically about half of the book, and go slower reading that part, and then take notes and write notes on the margin of the book. So on the book, I believe that you should not have this on Kindle. Now, I really don't know how Kindle works, and I'm not saying you can't have it on Kindle, but I believe you need the copy there, and you need a pencil, a pen, or whatever. You might even want more than one copy or whatnot. I don't know. But have notes written in the margin. Write notes whenever questions come up about, I wonder what that means. Make a note, highlight it, put an asterisk by it or whatnot. So basically, your book should be all marked up. And I don't know that you can do that on a Kindle. All right. I don't think you can. So that's why you need the actual, like the physical book itself. So you need to get that, whether you get it from us or you go out online and get it. You need the book, Becoming Your Own Banker, the 5th edition by R. Nelson Nash. You need the hard copy of that book. Now, again, you can go order it online, Amazon or whatever. If you call Hannah, or you text Hannah or me, or email me or whatever, we can send you the book for $25. That includes your shipping. All right. $25. It includes the shipping, and we'll send you the book. I mean, if you can go get it cheaper somewhere else, then go do it. It's not about making money on you buying the book. That's not what this conversation is about. It's about you having this book, kind of like your Bible, right? Do you have a Bible? Do you want the hard copy of the Bible, or do you want the Bible on your computer, on Kindle or whatnot, right? So this is a book that you need to have. So whether you get it from us, which if you get it from us, it's $25 and we'll ship it to you in the US. That includes shipping. Or if not, go get it from somewhere and have this book. So a couple things I'm going to go over, I'm going to talk about that are in this book today. And the first thing I'm going to talk about is on page 11. It's on page 11, and it's it's the last paragraph on page 11. Okay. And on page 11, it says, it is all a matter of how much of the banking function do you control as it relates to your needs. This book is all about how to create your own banking system so that you can control 100% of your needs, becoming your own banker. So that is the last paragraph, basically, or the last couple sentences in that book. Okay, that's on page 11 of the Nelson Nash book. So then if I flip back to page 3, it says, it is not a procedure to get rich quickly. To the contrary, it requires long-range planning. Okay, so this is not a book to get rich quick. It requires long-term planning. Now, another thing that was shared at the event was, there was a person up there that shared the 5 simple rules for IBC. A quote in the book that I just read, it is not a procedure to get rich quickly. To the contrary, it requires long-range planning. Well, that made me think of the 5 simple rules of IBC. And rule number 1 is think long range. So in your thinking, it's all about how you think. And I remember all the times I spent with Nelson, every time I met with him, every time he talked to me and we would talk about infinite banking, he would always say, Brent, it's about the way you think. It's all the way you think. It's what is between your ears. So Nelson says, think long range. And that's exactly what he said in the book. It requires long range planning. Well, long range planning is thinking long range. Rule number 2 is don't be afraid to capitalize. So don't be afraid to capitalize. What does that mean? Well, as you know, the banking concept has to do with whole life insurance in mutual companies that pay dividends. So how do we use the banking system? Well, we use it through our insurance policy, not any policy, not a term, not an index, not a universal, not a variable, a specifically designed, specially engineered whole life policy in a mutual company that pays dividends. Don't be afraid to capitalize that policy. Don't ever be afraid to capitalize it. Think of it as your bank account. Are you ever afraid to make more deposits in your bank account? No, man, you want to make as many as you can. So don't be afraid to capitalize your policy. So that was rule number 2. Rule number 3 is don't steal from your system. Okay, don't steal from your banking process, your banking system. All right. And if you want to know more about that, you can go to the grocery store analogy that is also in the book. All right, the grocery store analogy, and that'll teach you more, which is on page 15, the grocery store. So don't steal from yourself. So in other words, okay, so like if you borrow from yourself, pay yourself back with interest. If you borrow from a bank, you're going to pay them back with interest, aren't you? If you borrow from your neighbor, are you going to pay him back with interest? If you borrow from your parents, are you going to pay them back? Absolutely. So treat your money the same way you would treat a bank's money. So don't steal from yourself. Treat your money the same way you would treat a bank's money, because if you don't, you're saying your money is not as valuable as the bank's money. The 4th rule was don't do business with banks. All right. Now, I know what they're saying there, and I agree with it to some point, and then maybe some point I don't agree with that. So I think what Nelson Nash was saying, is don't be a part of the problem, because the more you borrow from conventional banks, the more you're creating the problem. Okay. However, when I kind of think of it is, I still have to live my life. I still got to pay my bills. I got to write checks and do online banking, right? So the policy doesn't allow us to write checks out of the insurance policy to pay the light bill or to do online banking. I can't call the insurance company and say, hey, insurance company, transfer $200 for my electric bill, $100 to my car insurance, $400 for XYZ, right? So you still have to do banking in your life. But what Nelson was I think what he was really saying here is create your own banking system and banking function of life, so you are able to recapture and recycle all of those dollars that you would be paying to the bank. Well, that is ultimately where we want to get. And again, on that rule, don't do business with banks. That's really what he's talking about. But I get it. We still have to have some kind of means of exchange for being able to pay stuff, whether it's credit cards or checks, right? Because anytime you have a credit card, where's your credit card issued from? It's issued from a bank. So to a degree, you still have to do some business with banks. And again, I'm open to discussion on this. And if you guys can show me where I'm missing to where I can totally get a conventional bank 100% out of my life for every means of my life, I'm all ears. Let me know how to do that. But again, I think that's what he was saying when he says don't do business with banks. And then, of course, number 5 is rethink your thinking. Rethink your thinking. Now, I would like to consider myself as I have done that for the most part. Do I get stuck sometimes still? Absolutely, I do. Absolutely, I do. But remember, guys, I eat, live, and breathe this stuff every day. I've actually known about this for since 2006. Where are we at? 2022. So I've known about the concept for 16 years. I've practiced it in my life for 14 years because the first 2 years I didn't believe it. I thought it was too good to be true. So I've actually implemented and I've owned my own policies for 14 years, and I've been teaching it for 10 years. I actually turned 10 years old this coming month in March. I started teaching this in March of 2012 is when I started teaching this concept, and I'm like 2 days away from March of 2022. So, but anyway, he says, rethink your thinking, rethink the way that you think. See all the stuff that you've been taught about money from your parents, your grandparents, your friends, your colleagues, your coworkers may not be true. That stuff may not be true. There may be more to it than what you've been taught. And let me tell you, there is a ton more to it than what you've been taught. And the foundation, the backbone, the Bible of money, in my view, is this book, Becoming Your Own Banker. If you can own the material in that book, it will drastically change your financial life. It can't do anything else but that.
And Dad, and actually to expand on that, every time I think about the rethink your thinking quote, I think of the quote from Timothy Leary. And actually, I was exposed to this quote in the music community because an artist, he would always say this one quote, and it comes from Timothy Leary. And he says, to think for yourself, you must question. So to think for yourself, you must question authority and learn how to put yourself in a state of vulnerable open-mindedness, chaotic, confused vulnerability to inform yourself. So basically, just to sum it up, to think for yourself and then question. So don't just keep going off of what everybody is telling you. Actually put your own mind and thought into it and keep pondering on the thoughts that folks are telling you.
No, that's a great quote. You should do a Facebook post or something and put that up there so everybody could see it. That would be awesome.
Mm-hmm.
No, that would be really good. Okay, so the next thing that I was just going to talk about is, and again, just going back to those rules where it says, don't be afraid to capitalize. There was a quote that somebody said in the think tank. And again, I'd love to give the proper person credit. And I don't remember exactly who. All right. So who said it there? But I picked this up from a speaker at the think tank. And here's what they said. Anyway, before I tell you what the quote is, that they said, so go back to that rule number 2. Don't be afraid to capitalize your system, right? Well, so most people don't want to capitalize because they feel like their premium is a payment. And it is a payment. Your premium is a payment because you're paying a life insurance premium. So that's why people get afraid to capitalize, because they think they're paying a life insurance premium payment. And they are. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. There's no way to sugarcoat it. You are paying a premium payment to the insurance company. However, what happens when you pay that payment into the insurance company? Well, it goes into an account that you control, does it not? Because you have access to a portion of that money immediately. And the definition of immediately is within 30 days. So the way that I look at this, and again, everybody's not going to agree with me, but I don't look at my premium as a payment. I do not look at it as a bill, a debt, an expense. I look at it as a deposit. That's how I look at it. Now, it's not a deposit, it's a payment. But you've got to change the way that you think. That's why we show the backward bicycle video on the majority of every time that I do a presentation. I start out with a backward bicycle. You got to change the way that you're thinking. And that goes down to rule number 5, rethink your thinking. So in my mind, when I pay that premium, yes, it's a payment, but in my mind, it's a deposit because it's going into an account that I control. And the longer I make those deposits, the more time that passes, the more efficient that it gets, right? It gets more efficient with time. It's not me telling you it's in the policy contract. Today's better than yesterday. Tomorrow's better than today. It's not me saying that. Go look at your policy contract. For those of you that have policies, look at the contract. Does every day get better than the day before? Yes, it does. Every day gets better than the day before. It continuously increases. So let me go back to now. Well, actually, okay. And again, I know I'm getting sidetracked a little bit. That's just the way my ADD works. So even Nelson Nash would say, okay, he would say it doesn't matter what happens in the outside world. For example, all right, so like whether the stock market is up or down, whether it's up or down. So Nelson Nash would say, do you know how much I made in my policy yesterday, today, and how much I'm going to make tomorrow? It's going to be more money than the previous day. Because no matter what happens in the external world, no matter if the market goes up or down, the housing market goes up or down, there's pandemics, there's riots, there's protests, no matter what happens, if like today, Russia is invading Ukraine, which is horrible, right? But no matter what happens, our policy values go up. They're going up today, tomorrow, and the next day. And they continue to go up, and they go up quicker and faster and more as time goes on. So don't be afraid to capitalize. So at the think tank, I heard someone say the premium is the solution, not the problem. Now let's think about that for a minute. The premium is the solution. It's not the problem, is it? No. So don't be afraid to capitalize, because when you're capitalizing, you're just solving other financial problems in your life. So I just thought that was powerful, Hannah.
And that's it. And that's it too, because actually right before that person who was at the think tank, they said that quote. I didn't I didn't get the name of who the presenter was either, but they also said, if you don't understand the problem, you can't talk about the solution. So the solution is the infinite banking concept and the premiums of where you're funding your privatized banking system. So if you're not understanding the problem or the why as to why you're doing this, then you can't ever understand the solution of what this concept is bringing to you.
No, absolutely. 100%. I hope you heard what Hannah just said there. Okay. The thing is, once you understand the problem, it is easier to find the solution. Well, the problem is what? Okay, so what's the problem? Well, everything that we do here at the Money Multiplier team, which we teach the infinite banking concept that was graciously taught to us by R. Nelson Nash with his teachings in the book, Becoming Your Own Banker. The problem is what? The problem is financially related. Maybe you don't have enough money to pay your credit card bills, your house payment. Maybe you want extra money to buy an investment property or help the kids go to college or get the grandchild a car, or maybe you want extra money to go on vacation. Maybe you want more money to give to charity. Whatever it is, right? This is what we do. We are solving the money problem. We are giving you the tool. We're giving you the solution of how to solve that money problem. Now, just because we give you that solution or give you that tool, does it mean like, oh, well, let me just buy one of these policies and it's automatically going to work for me? No, you have to implement the solution. In other words, you have to use your policy appropriately. Now, who's responsible for that? It's not the insurance company, right? No, it's you. So you are the one that just has to just to take the solution that you already have, and you just have to apply that to the problems that you have. And that's what we teach you to do, is to do that and to become your own banker in your own life and keep that money in your family where there's money that's not leaking out. Or basically what we're doing is we're plugging up those holes in the leaky bucket. Mm-hmm. So the solution is right here. The problem, I'm assuming, which is most problems of our clients, and I don't know, some people may say it's a problem or not. I mean, is it right? So like, is it a problem? So problems may be considered problems to some people that aren't problems. I'll talk to somebody and they'll say, hey, Brent, man, I'm just having a hard time, just, all right. So like getting my bills paid, making ends meet, and just getting through month to month. There's more month than money, the money runs out before the month, right? So I talk to people like that. And then I talk to another person and like, Brent, I'm just having a problem here. I'm just trying to get up to that $5 million, $6 million jet that I want to buy. So both of those people have problems, but they're totally different sets of problems. So just because you have one problem doesn't mean that's the same problem for someone else. But we try to meet you where you're at and to solve that problem. The thing we're doing is we're giving you the solution. The solution is the whole life policy, but our work really begins. I tell our team all the time, our work begins when you start the policy. Now, I know a lot of you that are listening to this have purchased whole life policies in the past. And you're going through, you're getting the whole life policy, you're working with the producer or the agent, and then all of a sudden you pay for the policy, you put it in force, and the agent is gone. Where are they? They're disappeared. You can't find them, right? Well, I like to think of us as the opposite, where we are here. We start our work when you put your policy in force, because it's easy to go through the process of getting the policy up and get it in force, right? I mean, that's the easy part. But now once you get it, you want to be able to use it. You want to be able to know the features and the benefits that you have on the policy, right? You want to know how it works and what you can use it for and how you can be most effective and efficient. And that's why that's why the mapping team does what they do, the cash flow analysis, the money multiplier maps, all the policy tools that we provide you. That's why we try to pour into you through, our additional resources, our content that we record, through the Wealth Wednesday webinars, the Ask Me Anythings. I mean, all of the content. So we are constantly trying to serve you better, because now that you have purchased really the solution, and I say purchased, meaning purchase the policy, you now have the solution, which is the policy for most, if not all, of your financial problems. Now, our job is to help you maximize the benefits of that vehicle that you have. Kind of think of it like this. Let's say you're a car guy and you love Corvettes, okay? If you go buy a brand new Corvette, that might be the solution to your needs. You've got the Corvette now, that's your solution, right? Well, how about if the Corvette is parked in your garage and you have no idea where in the hell the keys are, and you don't know anything about the Corvette whatsoever and how it runs, and so the keys aren't even there. You can't even take the Corvette out because you don't have the keys, right? What good does that Corvette do you sitting in the garage? Well, so the solution was the Corvette, but the problem is, okay, how do I use the Corvette, or can I use the Corvette, right? Same thing here. The solution is the policy. Now, now that we have the solution, now we're going to work on correcting the problem in the most efficient, effective way.
And can I add on to that? So this might be a blunt statement, But the problem really is that folks don't understand that they don't understand the Fed. They don't understand the Federal Reserve and how that actually affects our economy here in America. They don't understand inflation, and folks don't understand interest. So once you understand those three main points, then the solution of infinite banking is just right there, right in front of you. Oh, duh, I should be doing this because I understand the Fed and fractional reserve banking that goes with the Fed, interest here in America, and then also inflation. And actually another quote that Carlos Laura, he's one of the top guys up there in the infinite banking, excuse me, not infinite banking, the Nelson Nash Institute. Carlos Laura, he put a quote up there from a gentleman named John Adams. He says that he says that ignorance of the nature of coin, credit, and circulation. So that's the problem that the American people are having, is that they don't understand the nature of the coin, credit, or circulation of the dollar. So that's where you really need to start. And on top of that, if you do really want a resource on this, I would encourage you to go out and find the book. It's right there on Amazon. It's called The Creature of Jekyll Island, where you will find out more about the Fed and how our economy works here in America.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That great resource, that book. That's definitely a book that you should add to your financial library as well. And also, I know that we're talking about, I keep talking and just hammering out Becoming Your Own Banker by R. Nelson Nash. And a lot of you might be thinking, well, I have that book and I read it. Read it again. Read it again. Read that thing. Read that thing at least twice a year, if not every quarter.
That's my goal. That's what I do. Read it every 6 months.
You will learn more each time you read it. Every time before we do a live event, or a big event like I'm doing, okay, like we got coming up on May 5th, 6th, and 7th at our mastermind in Daytona Beach, I will start about a month ahead. And I'll go through and I'll read that book slow, and I'll take notes, and I'll take out topics out of that book that I'm going to cover. And a lot of times as I'm going through the book, even though I've read this thing lots of times, many times, I don't even know how many times, over 30, 40, 50 times. I don't even know. Lots of times. And I can quote pages in the book. I know where sentences are in the book, just if you ask me something, or I can tell you, I've read it that much. But anyway, just before this event that's coming up in May, I will go through and I'll read it again. And I'll read it slow. And every time I do, I come across stuff like, oh man, I forgot about that. I forgot Nelson talked about that. At one time, I talked about that to other people, but I forgot. For some reason or another, I don't know when it was, but I stopped talking about that particular item. And because I stopped once, I stopped twice, stopped 3 times, and it just escaped my mind, right? So now I go back and I'm like, I got to start talking about that again, So trust me, the more times you read it, you'll pick up on stuff each time. Now, also, Nelson has 2 other books as well that obviously you should have. One's called The Warehouse of Wealth, and the other one is called The Case for IBC. All right. So those are just other 2 books that Nelson Nash wrote that should also be in your wealth building library. But if you can only get one, you want to get the Black Book, Becoming Your Own Banker. So anyway, Hannah, I'm going to go to page 3 of Nelson's book. Page 3, it's basically introduction. Okay. And at the bottom column on the left-hand side, all right, so I'm just going to read to you a few sentences, and then we're going to talk about what it says here for a minute. Okay, so the whole idea of the infinite banking concept is to recapture the interest that one is paying to banks and finance companies for the major items that we need during a lifetime, such as automobiles, major appliances, education, homes, investment opportunities, business equipment, etc. So again, the whole idea is to recapture those interest dollars that are right now going out to other people. That money's leaving your family whenever you send that money out there. Okay. And he's saying, okay, automobiles, major appliances, education, houses, investment opportunities, business equipment, etc. So all of us on this call, we have at least one of those. Probably everyone that's ever going to listen to this is going to have at least one of those items, if not all of it. Because I bet most of you have a car, and if you don't, you're eventually going to have one. And I bet you all have a stove or a refrigerator. And if you don't, you're eventually going to have one, right? Then he goes on to say this is a very important sentence. If you get nothing else out of what I'm about to say, and this whole podcast that we're doing today, this whole, is that what this is called, Hannah, a podcast?
Yep.
So if you get nothing else out of this whole entire podcast that I'm doing today, here's the sentence that you got to remember. Are you ready? And it's on page 3 of Nelson's book. This book is not about investments of any kind. Let me repeat that. This book is not about investments of any kind. No, the infinite banking concept is not an investment. It is a process of what you're going to do in your financial life to make your investments. All right. So let me go ahead and read the rest of these 2 or 3 sentences after that one. So again, this book is not about investments of any kind. It is about how one finances the things of life, which can certainly include investments. It is not about rates of return. I'm going to say that again, because that's the second most important quote that you should get. It is not about rates of return. And I'm driving that home because all of you guys get hung up in the weeds and you're always asking, well, what's the rate on my policy? What's the compound interest on my policy? What's the dividend? What's the growth rate? Again, it is not about rates of return. So quit tripping over the dollars to pick up the pennies. That's what you're doing. You're tripping over dollars to pick up pennies. Why in the hell do you need to see a policy illustration? What difference does it make what your policy illustration looks like? Because you know the policy is going to get better with time. The illustration is actually guaranteed not to be the illustration because you're not going to buy this policy and put it on the shelf and not use it for 10, 20, 30, 40 years. So the numbers, your real life numbers, are going to be better than what that illustration says because you're going to be using the policy to do exactly what Nelson says. Okay? Again, let's go back to what Nelson says. This is about recapturing dollars that one is paying to the bank and finance companies for the major items that we're using during your lifetime, such as automobiles, major appliances, education, homes, investment opportunities, business equipment, etc. So quit getting hung up on a policy design. Quit getting hung up on a policy illustration. I'm telling you, you need to stop all that noise. You're listening to too much nonsense and noise out there on illustration and policy design. All right.
No, I agree. I'm glad that you said that.
So let me go on and just read a couple more sentences, okay?
Okay.
Again, I'm at the paragraph on page 3, and I already said this book is not about investments of any kind, okay? You got to get that in your head. No matter how you get it, whether you got to read it over and over again, you got to get it. This book is not about investments of any kind. It's about how one finances the things of life, which we just talked about, which can certainly include investments. And it is not about rates of return. So you got to know that the book is not about investments of any kind, and it's not about rates of return. All right. As time goes by, interest rates are going to go up and interest rates are going to go down. However, the process of banking goes on no matter what is happening. No matter what is happening. And the last sentence I'll read there on page 3, It is a well-known fact. It is a well-known fact that banks make more money during times of low interest rates than when rates are high.
Mm-hmm.
Page 3, guys.
And actually,
Page
Dad,
3 of this book. If you get nothing else in this whole book, you got to get those. It's not about investments and it's not about rates of return.
or how about, I'll even add on to that, even on page 3, he continues on to say, it is not about a procedure to get rich quickly. To the contrary, it requires long range planning, which kind of what you talked on earlier in this podcast about the 5 rules of Nelson Nash is to think long term. So that's what it is. It's the long range planning. So actually, Dad, I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, so, when I was younger, you actually told me one thing, and actually you don't even know I'm about to say this, but you told me one time, you said, hey, money is not everything, but it's quite there close up to oxygen. Do you remember saying that?
Absolutely, I do.
And at first my mindset was because really, I wasn't in this with Dad and like the business and like and right, because I'm still like, I'm a millennial, right? I'm in my 20s. I'm young. I'm still learning the ropes of life and like the whole economy and all of the functions of life and just living here on this earth. And so I heard Dad say that quote one time, and I was like, all right, you arrogant a-hole, whatever. Money, yep, money's so cool and money's up there, right? But it makes sense learning more and more about Nelson's teaching is that it really, the money and the banking function of what we're teaching here and what goes on in the economy is really what keeps the American society keep moving forward, and what keeps it cycling really is that money is what really keeps cycling, and it really is the most important function of the world, because you can be in any business that you want, right? But we also got to pay our bills. We also got to live and eat and buy groceries, go and enjoy the living activities and entertainment that we want to enjoy, and money is a part of that. And money's not a bad thing. It's the resource to help you get to where you want to be in life with your goals of what you're trying to achieve. So I find that kind of funny now, because when I was younger, like when I was 16, 17, and Dad was talking to me about all of this, because that's what it is too. Infinite banking is not just for you, it's for the family. It's the family banking system. So educate the family on what you're doing as well. And so when Dad was trying to educate our family on this, and he said that quote, and I was just like, all right, Dad, whatever. You don't understand the real values of life, but really it makes sense, because all of the things that I'm trying to go out and go do now, you need the resources to go out and do those things to enjoy the life that you want to go live. So anyways, Dad, that's just something that I was thinking about when I was at the think tank as well.
Oh. Yeah, absolutely. And no, it kind of warms my heart, Hannah, that you say that and you remember that. And, and again, I know that, and again, so Hannah's 22 years old right now as we sit here and talk about this, right? And I will just tell you that if you can ever get on a call and get some time with Hannah, the student has become the teacher. I mean, she really has. She's learned so much about this. She knows way more about peeling back the onion on this concept. I mean, I come to her many times and ask her questions for answers, because she has really peeled back the onion on this concept, and she is just a true wealth of knowledge, and 22 years old. But the problem is if Hannah's talking to someone that's 40, 50, or 60, they look at you and they say, well, how would you know about that? You're only 22 years old, right? So basically she doesn't get the credit. And it's just not Hannah. Right. There's other people that are in their 20s that know a lot about the banking concept, but sometimes we think that there's no way that we can learn from a 22-year-old. Well, let me just tell you, that's not the truth at all, because Hannah now eats, lives, and breathes this stuff, every day. She called me up. The reason we're doing this podcast today is she says, Dad, we got to share the stuff that we learned, at the think tank. And I'm like, well, Hannah, it's Saturday and I'm getting on a plane to go to Idaho to go snowmobiling tomorrow. I really got a lot of stuff to do. And she says, no, we got to do this. So it was her idea, a 22-year-old, while her friends are out partying or doing whatever on the beach here in Daytona. Hannah said, no, we got to get on this podcast and do this and share this information. So if you ever get a chance to spend some time, with Hannah, and I'm not saying it just because she's my daughter, she is extremely, extremely knowledgeable about this information. And the student has definitely become the teacher. So I'm very proud of her.
And actually, on top of that, even like to go back to like the student becoming the teacher, actually, y'all who I talk to on the phone a lot, you guys even bring to me strategies of how you're using these policies of ways that I didn't even think about. So that too is really, really cool about how we can combine our collective knowledge on money and banking and how we can even evolve in this concept. Because again, it's just going to keep evolving as time goes on, because nothing is ever stagnant. We're always evolving in the ways that we think and how we present and how we teach what's going on in any aspect of life, not just the financial aspect, even just social life or just any other wisdoms of life that's going on. So again, Dad, that kind of touches on like the arrival syndrome that Nelson Nash teaches, is that I'm always open to learning and educating myself on what other folks are teaching. I mean, even if it comes to religion, like actually my biggest thing right now of what I like to research and read up on is other folks' religion and how they're teaching their ways of how they're living their life. And yeah, I might not identify with any religion indirectly. However, I like having that a database to come back to understand their teachings of what they're doing.
Absolutely.
So Dad, what else do you have to share? Do you
Yeah, can I go? And again, I know we're running long, but there is just one more topic. It kind of ties into some of the stuff that we've been talking that I kind of got that I think was just really important to hear again, and I just want to share it just with everybody that's listening. And, this came from, I think all, if not, or at least just a bit of it, or if not all of it, came from Jason Lowe. I actually wrote down who spoke on this, and it's out of Nelson Nash's book, but he just hit on it and talked about it. And, Jason Lowe is a colleague of mine that lives in Canada, and Jason Lowe is actually going to be at our think tank. He's going to be a speaker. Or I'm sorry, not think tank. I said think tank. He's going to be a speaker at our mastermind event in May. So, and he's going to share with us some just a powerful message. He shared it he actually talked about it at think tank, and he's going to share this with us.
Well, actually, Dad, do you know how many policies Jason has between him and all of his family?
Yeah, he told us there, and I want to say it was 64. Is that right? 64?
62.
62. Yeah. So great person to learn from. So Jason is going to be at our mastermind event. He actually, so anyway, this past week when we were at Think Tank, he shared this, and he took us to page number 85 of Nelson Nash's book under points to consider. And so I just want to spend just a small amount of time on that. And if you go down on page 85 to it's going to be number 3. And here's what it says in the book, Nelson Nash's book. It says, when you get paid for your work, you put all of the money into someone else's bank. Then you write checks from the account to buy the things in life that you're going to buy anyway. So the thing you're going to do is you put that in someone else's bank, and the bank gets all of your money. But how about if you owned your own banking system? Don't you think you would want to run all your business through your own bank? If this is so, then life insurance premiums paid each year should ultimately equal income. So premium capitalization should equal premium, right? Okay. All the capitalization, all the premium, that should equal all the money that runs through your family. Then it says this can't be done immediately. It will take the average person of about 20 years to reach this level. I would agree and somewhat disagree that it takes 20 years to reach the level. Now, he says it takes the average person 20 years. So that means one person, it might take 30 years. Someone else, it might take 10 years. Someone might take 40 years. Someone else may do it in 2 years, okay? He says the average. If this message is taught to succeeding generations, then a perpetual banking system can be achieved. All right? So anyway, Nelson is basically saying eventually premiums and income should equal. Now, does it start that way from day one? Generally not. And as we do our strategy call, we'll discuss the game plan of how to get to that level or as close to that level as you can. But you got to, again, this goes back to capitalization. It goes back to basically you're starting your own banking business. So I believe Jason said this, and if it wasn't Jason, I apologize, it was someone else. But anyway, this is what was said, and this really resonated with me. And they said, if you are going to create a new business, are you wanting to start creating a small business or a big business? How do you want to create a new business? So like, let's say you're going to go into business right now. It could be anything you want to do. You're going to go into business. And if you're going to put in the time and the energy, the sweat, the tears to start and create a new business, do you want to start a small business or a big business? Mm-hmm. Well, obviously the answer is a big business, right? I mean, who wants to go into business and say, no, you know what? I don't want to be a big business. I just want to start a small business. I mean, if you're going to do it and it's going to require the same blood, sweat, tears, time, equity, you want to do it big. Do you not? So that comes in to how do you design the policy? Do you want to design the policy so it's going to be bigger over time? Or do you want to design it so it's going to be smaller over time? Okay. Now, please understand this. This doesn't mean that a small business is small amount of premium and a big business is big amount of premium. The thing I'm talking about here is a small business would be like, okay, let me put some money into this business today, and I want to get the max amount that I can out right away immediately, but I'm going to sacrifice long range. I'm going to get instant gratification, but I'm going to sacrifice the long-term success of this business. Or would you rather maybe not get all the instant gratification in day one, day two, year two? And would you rather maybe start the business to where you know that it's only going to be bigger? So you're willing to give up a little bit to have that business bigger in the long run? Or are you into short-term thinking or long-term thinking would be my question. Well, we all say long-term thinking, but our actions sometimes show short-term thinking. And sometimes the way that you guys want to design a policy or a lot of the noise that you hear out there and you see out there, you're thinking, oh, that policy design looks fabulous, magnificent in year 1 and 2. But what happens in year 4 and 5, 8 and 9, 12 and 13, 22 and 23? 30. Exactly. So do you want to think long range, which is a rule of IBC, think long range? Or do you want to think short range and try to milk everything you can out of that business instantly to where you're hurting the business down the road? It's up to you. There's not a right or wrong answer here. I mean, I always say a policy is better than no policy. You know, if a whole life policy to mutual company is better than no policy at all, no matter how you're thinking. Okay. But again, if you're going to create a new business, do you want to create it as a small business or a big business? How do you want to create it? Because see, this business, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it goes on for your whole life. It goes on for your whole life because this is a whole life policy. So it goes on for your whole life, and it may even go on past your life if the policy that you own is on somebody that is still around after you die, pass, or graduate. So think of what you're doing, not only for yourself, but for your family, for your children, for your grandchildren, for future generations to come. So again, that goes back into get the hell out of the weeds and stop looking at policy illustrations. We're going to design your policy so it's best for long-term planning. That's right. That's what we're doing. We're thinking long range, and we're creating the big business and not the small business. It doesn't matter about premium. That's not about big or small. I said that, but I want to make sure it's clear. So big versus small is an amount about you doing $100 a month or $100,000 a month in premium. That's not what I mean about big and small. It's the design and the structure of your policy. At the end of the day, if you don't like the way we design your policy, you have that opportunity to change it before we put it in force. You have that opportunity because before you ever accept, pay, or sign your policy, you're going to review it and you're going to go over it and you're going to see exactly what's going on. And if you don't like it, then don't do it that way. Then it can be designed another way, right? Okay, the last topic I want to talk about on that same topic, or the last thing I want to say is, and again, I don't remember who said this. I think it was Jason again, but it was the seen and the unseen. And basically, here's what they said. They said that, so the thing that happens with the illustration is the seen. So when you look at the policy illustration, that is the seen. That's what you're seeing. You're looking at the raw form of the illustration. And really what that illustration is showing you is what is expected to happen if you just buy that policy, you see that illustration, you put the policy on your shelf and you let it sit and never do anything with it. But the unseen is what you do with the policy illustration. That is the unseen. How do you treat your policy? And who's in control of the policy? You are the one that's in control. So then tell me, what is the risk factor? Well, the risk factor is only one thing, because nobody's lost money in a whole life policy in an insurance company that pays dividends. Go look it up and find it and try to show it to me. Bring it back to me and show me where somebody has lost money because the insurance company with their policy contract did not do what they were guaranteed then they said they were going to do. See, it's how you act with it. So you are your risk factor. You are the risk that comes with putting this policy in place. It's you. You're the risk factor. And who do you know better than you? So again, the seen and unseen. Whatever happens with the illustration is the seen. Okay, that's the illustration. That's the scene. But what you do with the policy illustration, what you do with your banking concept, your banking process, that is the unseen. All right, Hannah, let me throw it back to you. And I think we've kind of gone over on time. So I'm good for today unless you have any other topics that need to be covered on this podcast.
Yeah, no, that was good. And actually, it's funny because you're going to cover all the topics that I wanted to really hit on. The biggest thing, I guess, is just the kind of takeaway of what I learned at the think tank is understanding the problem. Once you understand your problem and your why, the solution is very easy to see. And the solution is the privatized banking function or the privatized banking, infinite banking concept that we're teaching here. So no, Dad, that was very, very good. I'm very excited because every time we have those meetings, it's kind of like a big reset button, and always kind of bringing us back to Nelson's standards and Nelson's book, and just because really another thing that I took away from there is that all of the solutions to the problems are in the book Becoming Your Own Banker. So once you understand your problems, the solutions are right there, right in front of you. So no, that was very, very good. And we'll be back. We'll have some more podcasts that we'll touch on. We got some good topics I even took away from the event that we should expand on. And just keep hanging around us. That's the biggest thing that you can do, is just keep learning more and more about this concept, and keep hanging around the campfire, drinking the Kool-Aid is what Dad always says. And it'll start to become more and more clear. So again.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, so like, I just want to make this closing statement. If there's any questions that you have, you can always email me or Hannah. Our emails are really simple: Brent, BRENT, at themoneymultiplier.com, or Hannah, HANNAH, Hannah at themoneymultiplier.com, spelt the same way forward as backwards, right, Hannah? And then also, if for some reason the book that Chris and I wrote, Becoming Your Own, we didn't write that book. The book that Chris Noggle and I wrote, Mapping Out the Millionaire Mystery, if all you got to do is email us, we will send you the ebook that we wrote. It's the ebook that we wrote. And just all you do is send us an email and we'll send it to you. There's no charge at all for that book. We'll be happy to send it to you. Most of you probably already have it. And then I just want to remind you guys, May 5, 6, and 7 in Daytona Beach at our mastermind event, May 5, 6, and 7. So if that's something you can get on your calendar, do it quick, because once it's sold out, it's gone. 210 seats, I believe, is the max. I know. So anyway, Hannah said it was 200, and I think the lady told me 210. But anyway, 200 to 210 is max capacity, and we're about halfway there right now. And we really haven't went live with everybody on the landing page and all of that. And then just again, so the last thing I'll say is I kind of start with just the thing I said in the beginning is you got to get the book Becoming Your Own Banker by R. Nelson Nash. Okay. You got to get that book. Be something that's in your financial library. It is a must-have. It is a must-have. Becoming Your Own Banker, the 5th edition. You can go find it wherever you can get it. If you want, like our team to send it to you, it's $25, and that includes the postage as well to get it to you. Or if not, go get it from somewhere. We're not here to sell you the book. You just have to have it. If it's convenient for you to go get it from somewhere else, go get it. If it's convenient for you to get it to us, send us an email, and we can get that book to you. Becoming Your Own Banker, the 5th edition. It's okay to have it on Kindle, but you want it. You want the hard copy of the book, right? You want this 92-page book in your possession so you can write on it, go through it, make marks, and all of that, in my opinion. So, all right, Hannah. So thanks for doing this. Thanks for pushing me to do it. Hannah pushed me today to do this because I've been traveling all week, and I'm a little, I was a little tired, a little lazy. I was like, Hannah, do we got to do it today? And she pushed me. So thank you for Hannah for like making me, do this today. So I'm extremely grateful for you and for all that you do for everybody that we serve. And I'm super, super proud of you.
Thanks, Ed. All right, y'all. And then if you need us, so we're always here to answer your personal questions and what you have. And no question is stupid. Okay. So just come and just ask your questions to us. We want to help you. So my email, it's Hannah at themoneymultiplier.com. And I'll give you my cell phone number. You can text me, call me. It's 913-908-3511. And Brent, if you want his number, it's 785-248-9637. Those are our personal cell phone numbers. So call us, text us, and Dad's email address is the same as mine, Brent at themoneymultiplier.com, BRENT, Brent. And we're happy to be here and serve y'all. So we'll catch you next time on our next episode. Thank you.
Bye, everybody.